What's up guys, this is Victon. This is my second time recording this. I just made probably like a 25-minute video on this that I am now re-recording because I'm going to try and make it short and concise for you guys. I also was rambling and kind of just complaining a lot in that video, so we're going to try and minimize the complaining, minimize the wordiness, and just get you guys the facts about what we know as a community so far on how to build your Crucible passive skill trees. You know, getting 2-3 passives I think is going to be achievable for 95% of the community. Getting those 4 and 5 passives is going to be pretty difficult. It's going to cost you a lot of currency to get the 4 and the 5 passives. So yeah, you know, I think there's been a lot of good talk recently on YouTube. There's been a couple of good guides on Reddit has been on fire as well with trying to kind of figure this out and crack the code. And I think we have for the most part. So that's one of the things that I'm going to do is show you guys pretty much how to give you the best odds of getting that 3, 4, and 5 passive weapons and shields that you want. But the second thing that I'm going to do is talk about the difficulties behind doing that, because that is something that I think a lot of people have lacked or left out, not intentionally, but from their guides or from their posts on Reddit. And I do want to warn you guys about some of the things that can happen that can like brick your item, that can make it so much more difficult than you might think by just watching or reading some of these guides that have been posted recently. So, and again, nothing against them. Those are the big brains. This is me coming in and just trying to educate you guys on, you know, basically what I've learned. At this point, I've done about 100 or so combines on rare weapons, and I've probably done, I don't know, 15 to 20 on unique weapons. So I have a pretty good understanding of how to do this, and super long story short, it's semi-deterministic, but there are tons of RNG within that deterministic model. So it's tedious. I personally don't like it at all. I think there should be no way that you should brick an item. And there is absolutely possibilities of bricking items when you do these. Of course, unless you use an imprint beast, the Crake Primeval, which by the way are going for 2 divine right now, so that's not really reasonable for most of the PoE population. For the in-game crafters, sure, no problem. I'm sure they're totally fine spending 2 divine to imprint their weapon here. Like let's say they have a 4 passive or something, they're going for that 5th passive. You would absolutely want to use an imprint beast, right? So if you fail it, you can just use that imprint and go back to where you were before you failed it, right? Understandable, and that is certainly the way probably to do it, but you know, me and I think most people just don't have that currency to be able to just pop 2 divines in for, you know, maybe like a 10, 15, 20% roll on getting that 5th passive. So I'm already starting to ramble. Okay, cool. Let's show you guys my thing that I made, and then I'll show you how I made it and how you guys can make similar items, right? So this is a 4 passive that I made. And this, the way that I made it had the absolute best chance possible of getting a 5 stat, and I hit 4 of the stats. So I'm pretty happy with it. I'm definitely not going to do any more. If I am, maybe in the future I'll throw on imprint beasts before I do it. But even then, I just don't think it's worth it. I think the percent of hitting it is so low that it's, I don't know. Yeah. So the way that I did this, there's very specific conditions that you have to meet in order to set yourself up for a successful craft. Okay, I had 2 3-stat passives, and when I had those 2 3-stat passives, I was able to also line it up perfectly, and I'll show you this here shortly in Photoshop. Line it up perfectly to where it gave me the best odds for hitting all of the nodes, except the first one, which I luckily had actually this minion deal 20% increased damage on both weapons. So it was a 100% chance to hit it, and it's not the best, it's not like the highest tier, so I'm a little sad about that, but whatever, at least I got it. So I got this, I got the 100% crit multi for minions. This one failed. This was supposed to be 15% increase effective offering. It failed, but I did get this one on the second item. This carried over. It had 30% increased minion maximum life, and it hit the tier 5 node as well with the Raging Spirits, Diamond Shrine, and Massive Shrine. So very good. This is for specifically a SRS popcorn build. Pretty cool. I hit the 4 passives, and here's how you do it. Let's go into Photoshop. Cool. So I made this little nifty thing to be able to show you guys the way to hit this stuff. So let's talk about getting a 2 passive first, because getting a 2 passive is pretty easy, right? So what you're going to do, and we're going to have like green being our first item and pink being our second item. Green, we're going to have right here. Let's say that's the best tiered roll that you can get for this, whatever you're looking at for this tier 1 slot. Okay. So you're going to actually allocate that. And that is going to be the weapon that you use in the bottom slot of the forge. That one will save every time. The one in the top slot will delete and get imprinted onto the bottom one. Okay, so let's say you want, and by the way guys, typically how you want to do this actually is go from the tier 1 to tier 2 to tier 3 to tier 4 to tier 5. It's unlikely that you are going to be able to hit it as well with doing like, a tier 1 and a tier 5. Sure, you could do it. And you've got probably a 50% chance to hit that, but then going backwards and trying to get a third passive, that's where it gets complicated, and a fourth passive. So if you're only looking for like a tier 1 and tier 5, sure, get this one right here and don't allocate this. Excuse me, coughed. And actually you would allocate it, right? So what you would actually do here is you would allocate this, and this on this weapon, and you would actually have a 50% chance of losing that tier, whatever the highest tier of this tier 1 roll is, but you would have a very high chance of hitting this, especially if, let's say, this first item, this green item, actually stopped like right here, right? Maybe it only goes to this tier 3. So if it only goes to here and the second item that you have goes all the way out to here, I think it's 100% chance to actually hit that one. It's happened to me the last 3 times that I've done it, but maybe that's lucky. So I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, like that's how you would get a tier 5 roll and a tier 1 roll. And it's the same concept for if you're getting really anything over here. But usually what you should do is do tier 1 to tier 2. So what you'd actually do in this case is leave this blank. So you would have your bottom weapon, which you allocate this, but this one, let's say you actually do want this note here, you actually don't want to allocate that. What you want to do is going to a map, and you're going to get to that Crucible circle. You're going to have this second weapon all the way on the left side of your inventory, so you can modify it, right? And you're actually going to left click on the Crucible tree, like the little menu thing that pops up on the Crucible. Don't right click it. Right clicking is how you level up the Crucible trees, right? You want to left click it, and you're going to use an Orb of Scouring on the first slot right here. So what that's going to do is it's going to take that slot away. It's like a scouring orb, right? And it's going to be a fully unallocated tree. Okay, and the reason that we're doing that is because every time you have an allocated point, it has a higher chance to keep that on the final weapon. Now, we don't know what that chance is. I have done a ton of testing. Like I said, I've done over 100 rare combinations at this point on rare and magic weapons. Like I said, I think I've done like 20 or something on uniques. So I've done a lot. And I think personally, it's somewhere between 60 and 70%, maybe like 65, 70% chance to hit an allocated node. Keep in mind that is not guaranteed. Okay, so it's not guaranteed. What could happen is 3 things. You're either going to keep it, like I said, maybe 70% chance. You're going to lose it, or there's other things that could happen. You could actually downgrade the tier. I don't know what the percentage of that is, or you could even mutate it, which is terrible because it basically takes that away and it puts some other random passive on there, which is garbage for you most likely, and it just breaks the whole item. So there's multiple things that can happen that can ruin your craft. But nonetheless, that is how you do it. You would get 1 passive, you would allocate on your second weapon, you would scour it, and then you would hope that it hits this 2 slot, right? And it's a 50-50 if you're going to hit that 2 slot. So 50-50, that's not too bad. So most people should be able to get a 2 passive. Okay, so let's assume that you got a 2 passive at this point. You could even buy 2 passives from the trade website pretty frequently as well. So let's say you got a 2 passive, and now let's say you want to get 3. You want to get a perfect 3 slot. So here's what you would do. Let's say that I don't know, whatever. It's 10% more cast speed. Okay, let's just use that as a random example. What you would want to do is look for the trade website. So you're going to put in Crucible trade website. And I'll actually even show you guys a tip real quick on how to do that. Let's go to here. You're going to open up a trade. Oh, this is my big boy one. But how you do this is, let's actually make a new one so I can just kind of show you guys. What you would want to do is add stat group. You would want to do count 1 or however many, right? And you're going to hit the tilde. It's right below the escape button. Hit that. And then you're going to type in Cruce. And then you're going to type in whatever stat that you want. So maybe like 10 more cast. You don't have to be exact. You can kind of just type in whatever you think would be in that, right? So 10% more cast speed. And hey, there it is, right? So I would search for this. Let's say it's on a unique item. I'm just going to use this Annihilating Light as an example because I've done so many of these. Let's see, the Annihilating Light. So what you're going to do in this case is specifically look for a... In fact, let's not do that because that's not in the third spot. So let's do Crucible. Let's do Hatred. And then let's do like just a cheap one here. This one, sure. Nope, wrong tier. Hold please. Crucible, Hatred. I'll just do the big boy one, whatever. All right. So this is on the tier 3. Okay. So this one you can tell is at this spot, like this middle spot. So let's go back to this. So that one is right here. So that's actually the best case for us. Okay. The reason being is if it was here, you're going to have a less chance of getting it because there's a trick that you can do to increase your odds from just 50%, like what it was in the first time when we got that second passive. You can do a little bit better this time and you can hit that 70% chance to get it. And how you're going to do that is doing one of two things. You're going to attempt to buy one with a perfect third tier one and also a perfect tier 1 so that you're going to have a good chance of getting, well, actually a perfect chance if you actually get one with a good tier 1 roll as well, because it's either going to take this one or it's going to take the one from the first staff, but it's fine because both of them are good, right? That's kind of the point there. But you're also going to allocate this one, which is going to act as a dead node, and then you're going to allocate this one right here in order to give it that 70% chance. Okay, so doing that, you now have a 100% chance of getting a good node here because you got 2 staffs with good tier 1 rolls. You're going to get a 70% chance to hit this one, and you're going to get a 70% chance to hit this one. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. That's how you get your 3 passive. Or of course you could just buy it. Sometimes you get lucky and you're able to buy those, right? Now it's getting more complicated. Now we're going to want to do a 4 stat. Okay, so let's actually just take this example right here. Let's keep going on this example. So in order to get a 4 stat, you're going to do in, again, keep that same concept and do it in one of 2 spots. You're either going to do it in this spot right here or this spot right here. And it's actually the best one to do it in this spot right here because we're going to keep this same thing rolling up here. We're going to do this. Let's just say we have this item right here. We have a perfect 3 stat like this, right? 1, 2, 3. And we want to get this one. So same concept. You're going to have these 2 dead nodes up here. So if you get one that has a perfect one right here, by the way, you see how that doesn't really work because now you can't use dead spots to hit it. Does that make sense? Because you could go down here, but now you're losing the 70% chance here. That's just silly. I guess technically, if you're able to get a good 2 stat or a different stat that you like here, you could do that. But I just wouldn't do that. You really want to look for one that is in the better spot, which is right here. So that you're going to allocate this dead node, and then it's the same. You're always going to have that 50% chance to roll either one of these. That's why I always really suggest trying to get one that is at least a 2 passive with a passive that is good for the 1 slot, and then for either whatever the next slot is you're doing, the 3 slot, the 4 slot, the 5 slot, right? So that you're having the best chance of getting them all. So at this point, this is what you have. You've got either a 100% chance if you have 2 good nodes, or a 50% chance if you only have 1 good node. You've got a 70% chance to hit there. You've got a 70% chance to hit there. And then you've got a 70% chance to hit there. Okay? That's how you would get a 4 stat the best possible way. Whew, good lord, boys. Okay, so now to get a 5 stat, it's the same concept, right? So it would be, let's say you would want it, technically you would want it right here, because let's say we hit it and it's right here. You could do the same dead node thing right there, right? This is like a best case scenario, because then again, you've got the 50 or 100% chance at that, 70, 70, 70, 70. But even that's like, oh my lord in heaven, that's a lot of 70. That's not actually like you have a 70% chance of hitting it, because it compounds down each time. So I don't actually know what the chance is, because I'm not a mathematician, but it's pretty low to hit all of those. Pretty bad. So what you could do is do something like I did when I made my weapon, and I'll show you guys exactly how I did it. This is what I did. I'll show you the 2 weapons that I used, and I combined them together. I had this right here. This was my weapon. So I had 2 3 stats, okay? And I got lucky. I bought both of them, right? Actually, I think I bought one of them, and then the other one I just luckily got basically on accident. So this is what I had. Now, the reason this is good is because a couple things. One, I had basically the same node on here, right? So it was 20% minion damage on both. So that's going to hit regardless. So I'm guaranteed to hit that one. On the second, my first one, it actually ended right here. Right there. So it didn't have a tier 4. It didn't have a tier 5 node, which means I think it had a higher percent chance to hit these, because I also allocated like this. So we had dead node, 70%, 70%, but I think it was even higher than 70%. This is not confirmed. I think it was higher than 70% because my first tree didn't even have nodes here, right? I don't know if that's confirmed or not, but either way, regardless, I still had the 100% chance there. I had a 70%, 70%, 70%, 70% at a minimum, right? So that's how I hit my 4 passive, because I lost this roll. So now my staff looks like, or I'm sorry, my wand looks like this. That's what I hit. Those were dead nodes, didn't matter, right? So now it looks like this. That's your 4 stat. Now, could you technically, like, let's say I wanted to get a 5 stat and I wanted to use an imprint beast, what I would do is I would buy a perfect one like this. I would buy a perfect 1 slot, and I would buy a perfect 3 slot, and I would dead node it right here, right? So in that case, I would have a 100% chance on this one. I'd have a 70%, 70%, 70%, 70%. So I would do it again to get all the 70%. It's just very unlikely that's going to happen, but that's how you would do it. Oh my goodness. I hope this is making sense to you guys. It actually took me a while to figure this out, to kind of understand it, but kind of doing this for myself and looking at like the colors kind of helped out. Now, refresh just on a couple things. Sure, what I've been saying makes sense with the 70%, but just keep in mind that that's not all that can happen. It could completely change the tree, right? It could be a tree that looks like the bottom half on this one, and then the next tree could have crap up at the top. It could do that. It could downgrade one of your nodes, or it could mutate one of your nodes and just completely brick your stuff, and you have to start from scratch. So there's so much going against you to have this happen, which is of course why the farther you go in the craft, the less chance it is to succeed, which is again why you would want to use beast crafting to imprint it, but that's pretty expensive. Now that is just how to do rare weapons. I'm not going to go too in depth on how to do unique weapons, because it's literally the same process. It's just way more expensive because you cannot imprint a unique weapon, right? And on top of that, you can't use the regular Primeval Remnants. Not good. You have to use the Primordial Remnants, which are at a minimum 75 chaos, whereas these Primeval ones for rare weapons are like 10 chaos. So it's going to cost you way more to even get going. It's the same concept to level up, to get your passives in the way that you want. But for example, on my staff here, this 50% increase effect of Arcane Surge is like a 1 to 2 divine roll. Just everything else on the tree is terrible, and then you have this, it's 2 divine off the bat. If you had a zealotry, like perfect zealotry mod, it's 4 divines, 5 divines. So point being that the good mods on unique weapons cost way more, right? So just the whole process of doing it is just so much more expensive, because you could completely rip your weapon and brick it, and you kind of got to start again. So it's a nightmare to do weapons that are uniques. It's a nightmare. I would think that, like, for me personally, I would say that, you know, good 1 passives are like 1 divine, a good 2 passives, probably 3 divines, a good 4 passive, or I'm sorry, a good 3 passive, like mine, I would probably say this is like a 15 divine, personally. And then if you have a 4 stat, we're probably talking like 60 to 80 divines. And then if you have a 5 stat, good lord, I don't even know. For my build, luckily I don't have a good 5 stat, so I don't even have to worry about it. But for some of you guys, if you're going for a 5 stat on a unique weapon, sweet baby Jesus, good luck. Have fun spending all your currency you've ever made in your entire life. So yeah, that is uniques. And one last thing I wanted to mention while we're here in the trade website, there's a couple things that you can do for the Primordial Remnants. There's actually one, I wish I could see it on here. So I'll mention this, and I don't know if it's on the Primeval. Oh, you know what? It is on the Primeval Remnant. There's a mod that you actually want to watch out for and not use. It says something along the lines of when you combine a tree, it has a higher likelihood chance of getting a node that is like you can sell currency. That's bad, because that could take over one of your nodes that you're trying to go for. Don't even buy those. Don't use them. Bad, 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 bad. There is a good mod on Primordial Remnants, so the big boy versions, that is this right here. Crucible's passive skill trees are more likely to be retained when forging. That sounds great, right? Really great. However, in my experience, it was garbage. I've done 4 of these, and on all 4 of those rolls, I had at least 2 of my 3 stats, allocated stats, lose the rolls. So the percent chance can't be that great. I've actually successfully completed more on the cheaper version of this, which is, so again, this is like 1.7 divine to get this mod right here. If you just want the basic super cheap version, it's about 60 chaos to 70 chaos just to get a regular Primordial Remnant that you can use to craft unique items. I've had more success doing that than the more expensive one. I don't know what the heck's going on, so I have no clue what the percentage is on that mod. But like I said, I think it's like a 60 to 70% chance to hit a basic allocated mod. So I wanted to mention that because I think once people do start trying to get that 4 slot and that 5 slot, or 4 and 5 passive, you probably do want to be using imprint beasts on regular items, but on the unique items, you probably want to spend a little bit more and at least, you know, hope that that mod is working and it might save you. So I wanted to mention that in case you are at that point in your craft. But yeah, guys, that's all I got on this one. I don't even know if it's going to help you guys. It helped me just kind of visualizing it. It's ended up not even being a short video. Good lord. At least I did less complaining than I did in my first video. So yeah, I hope this helped you guys out. If it did, let me know in the comments. If it didn't, let me know in the comments as well. And, you know, if there's some other way that I could like present this to you guys to help, let me know. You know, I'm all for it. I'm all for helping you guys learn in whatever way's better. So, but I think this helped me seeing these little dots and seeing this full tree. And again, just treat every tree like it's a full tree like this. And you can roll stuff even on nodes that don't exist on your main weapon, right? So like what I mean by there, good lord. What I mean by there is you could have a green here, a dead node here, and it stops. You can still get on your second weapon a node here, and it could just connect that for you, right? So that's fine. Yeah, I'm just rambling at this point, guys. I hope it helped you out. If it did, let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.